ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebutkicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
It's the world's center of racing, and tonight it plays host not just to round number 9 of the iRacing Stock Car Association ButtKicker Cup Series in the first season of 2022. It will also play host to round number 1 of the iRacing Stock Car Association ButtKicker Super Cup Series for tonight's season opener, the ButtKicker 250 for the Daytona International Speedway. Hello and welcome one and all. My name is Dola Rempel with Brian Britt beside me in the broadcast booth and Rob Melnick down behind the cameras for tonight's presentation. So, Brian, we got set to go racing 100 laps, 215 miles, and with iRacing finally having released a new drafting package that should make these cars an absolute joy to be able to race with here, side-by-side racing. It's back, as is tandem drafting, meaning we could be in for one barn burner of a season opener.
Yeah, I definitely think this is going to be a barn burner. That's the best way to characterize it. I mean, looking at some of the practice we've seen so far, that top groove looking very, very favorable for a lot of these guys. So excited to see how this is all going to work out. First lap being turned in right now. Chris Johnson, 50.033.
It is bound to be a very entertaining race as well. I think the big note that a lot of these drivers are going to have to think about, where on earth are you going to be trying to make those moves to put yourself a little bit further up towards this field by the end of the race? As always, we have 3 stages on the course of tonight, with the stages at laps 20 and 40. So these drivers will have themselves a little bit of breathing room to be able to kind of work out their strategies. But that, of course, could mean we could be in for some wild, wild incidents potentially coming over into the end of those stages. Well, with only 21 cars here tonight, we're hoping that that big one doesn't come until hopefully maybe that last quarter of the race. And then that, I think, would be right on schedule, because obviously a big wreck early on would see a good portion of the field eliminated early on.
Yeah, definitely could see that for sure. But these cars are just so aerodynamic in the way they work. I mean, the turbulent air, would not be surprised to see some problems that maybe have been unforeseen, especially with the new additions and updates to this car. But looking at Kenny Powell right now, he's up to the second spot, 50.043. These guys still have another opportunity, I do believe, to turn another lap. And from what I've heard, the fuel run tonight, 33 laps. So could we see a green flag pit stop late in this race, Nolan?
There is always the possibility, isn't it, for there to be that late fuel run early or later on in the race. 33 laps, and well, we'll be going green with stage 3 with about 55 laps to go, so that should make it a relatively easy pit strategy run, right? Run the tank until it's dry, and then, of course, kind of just run things out to the end from there. So round number 10 about to get underway. Just 3 races left in the first season of the ButtKicker Cup Series here from 2021. And at the moment, you take a look at how the schedule is going to be shaken on up in the throughout the rest of the season. And it is looking to be the likes of Auto Club and Vegas to round out the season. So it is going to be a pretty entertaining last few races, and we're hoping for a good one with 30 seconds left in qualifying.
Yeah, what's crazy about it is, we're starting fresh with the Super Cup Series, and we're ending the, Cup Series. So interesting to see how that's all going to play out, having, this be the start of one season and then, kind of close to the end of another. So important in 2 regards, I'd say.
Just a few seconds left in qualifying, so we are going to get set to take a brief step away as checkered flag flies. Your field of 21 cars strong is set. We'll take a rundown of today's United States of America National Anthem.
cars, start your engines!
Starting on pole position from tonight's ButtKicker 250 is going to be Andrew Layton, a newcomer to the ISCA, making his first ever start. Finds himself on pole position by just 0.02 of a second from Chris Johnson. Kenny Powell is in third place on row number 2 with Corey Cook beside him in fourth. It is Greg Wyszynski in fifth with Derek Jacobs in the sixth position. Al Kozlowski is in seventh place with Wayne Grossi in eighth. That means it's Randy Drumhiller and Matthew McMeekin to round out row number 5 here, Brian.
Yes, sir. 11th is going to be Philippe Radijic. And 12th place, Robert Pattengale. 13th, John Mullins. 14th, Mark Sanchez. 15th, Mark Paget. So 2 marks lined up there. That's kind of interesting to see. 16th is going to be Josh Schaffner. 17th, Matt DeSanti. I do believe that's how you say his name. If not, I'm sure he will correct us at some later date. But 18th is going to be Thomas O'Hara. 19th, Don Avery. 20th, Greg Bartlett. Rounding out this 20-car field is Paul Olson.
And of course, you probably noticed one driver was absent in that starting grid. Your points leader, Clayton Hoffman, currently entering tonight's race 85 points to the good from Kenny Powell. He needs to be 100 points to the good, though, if he wanted to leave tonight's race winning the championship with just 2 more races after this one to go. But with him being a no-show, this could be the opportunity Kenny Powell needs to slowly reel him back in. But at the very most, it is still going to be a 35-point deficit that Kenny Powell will have to get for himself. That is, of course, if he wins both stages. Excuse me, it'd be a 25-point deficit, but that's if he wins both stages as well as the overall race. A tall order at a track where position changes and lead changes is far from an uncommon occurrence, especially even multiple times within the same lap. So it is going to be a tall order for Powell to try to reel him in. So Hoffman, he's got a little bit of space that he can utilize. That's probably why he opted to opt out of tonight's race.
Yeah, definitely a lot of confidence being shown there from Clayton Hoffman. You know, this is definitely, as I would characterize this track, any track out there, I think more than any, Daytona and Talladega is a gambling racetrack. You are literally, you know, playing poker over here at 200 mile an hour, you know, trying to make sure you have the right hand. And so Clayton just not going to show up, and he's not going to, you know, do the buy-in. But Kenny Powell up in third. I mean, this could be a very good day for him. But you mentioned it earlier, kind of your point there about how, you know, if an accident happens early, it could take out quite a bit of the cars. You just have to hope that Kenny Powell's not one of them, because he wants to really maximize his points here tonight.
Pace car is starting to roll. Only 14 out of your 21 drivers opted to take times. There are, of course, 2 names that we have not seen before in ISCA competition. Those are the likes of pole sitter Andrew Layton, as well as Matt DeSiani, who did not take to the grid or to the track for qualifying, and he'll be starting 17th place as a result. So 21 drivers of the course of 100 laps and 250 miles. It should be a relatively clean race, we're hoping. But that being said, the last few times we've been plate track racing, it has been single file racing because of that good old high downforce, low horsepower package. They'll call them the good. It might be a little bit of a stretch for a lot of people that know, of course, how that package ran. However, with the new updates that iRacing brought to this car to more match what it races like in the real world after bringing in that new 670 horsepower package, I think it's safe to say they have won back the hearts of a lot of stock car races, and particularly those that like to race at the super speedways, which means we could be in for a very, very solid race here tonight. Speeds are not going to be too much higher than what we're used to, Brian. It's only going to be about 180 to 100 miles an hour. You have to think that potentially that means it might be a bit slower, but that also means it could be a little bit more chaotic.
Oh, I definitely think we're going to see some chaos out there. I mean, like I said, in practice, these guys were running up on the top lane, you know, making big moves. I think if you're able to organize up there, I think it's going to be great to see. But one thing about it, we might not see a lot of actual bump drafting, though, considering there is quite an air bubble behind these race cars.
I want to thank all of our viewers for joining us here tonight. And so, from the world's center of racing at Daytona Beach in Florida, we say, let's go racing for the 2022 Super ButtKicker Cup Series season as Layton takes us to the green flag, but not for long. Look at Chris Johnson being shoved from behind by teammate Corey Cook, already clear to the lead by 2 car lengths.
Yeah, Corey Cook going to not play teammates, really, as he goes to the bottom. He's going to take that lead, but he does not have a lot of help from behind. Andrew Layton not there, and it looks like Derek Jacobs going to go to the bottom behind Corey Cook. And look at that, Chris Johnson down at the bottom now. So a lot of shuffling back here, up here, I should say.
And here comes Wayne Grossi now, trying to push from the top side with Matthew McMeekin just tucked in behind, dicing their way through 3 and 4. You've already had 3 lead changes between 3 different drivers in just the opening lap of this 250-mile race. That is the type of race that we're getting set to be bear witness to all throughout this field. So it's Chris Johnson lead the way from lap number 1. Already, though, from 14th on back, starting to fall off, being a bit too conservative in the opening runs. Wayne Grossi leads the charge from the top side.
Yeah, I would not be surprised to see Grossi. If he has enough help from behind, he's going to be able to make some moves here still. I mean, even with just 3 cars, he might have some reinforcements coming eventually here, but looks like that top line just not as organized as they need to be. And I think that really comes as a result of the turbulent air behind these cars there, Nolan.
And a big move there for Philippe Radojcic. Checks up the entire outside line, and that is not going to be good news at all for a lot of the guys in this field. You've only got 3 cars working the top side for the time being. Radojcic is trying to make it 4. The iFly Chevrolet going to go to the top shelf. So is Kenny Powell in his GNG Toyota Camry. So it's looking like a solid run for the outside this time by Radojcic, getting right to the back bumper, but not opting to push the 24, not in the middle of the corners. That is, of course, one thing that still rings true throughout iRacing. You cannot push in the corners. Now, though, down the backstretch, it's a big shove for the 99, but they're going to be no match for the inside line down the backstretch.
Yeah, not able to really get there. They are making up some ground some places. Looks like in the trial, but they're going to get a good run. And looks like it's going to peter out, though, unfortunately. Someone down back there on the apron.
John Mullins got loose coming out of turn 4, and he had to scramble to save his number 64 machine. We're talking cat-like reflexes on the number 64. Get that thing under control, but he has lost the draft as a result. Up to the top side, Wachinski getting into it with Kenny Powell all the way up to the wall. Kozlowski going to go up to join the outside line as well. Grossi and Radojcic both jumped down low. Robert Pattengale and Randy Drumhill are going to be sticking with the top line. But so far, that outside lane has not been able to get itself organized, and that is why they are just been able to have no speed off of these corners.
Yeah, this is a far cry what we saw in practice. I mean, in practice, these guys were able to make that top side really work for them, and it just does not seem like they have the same speed right now. And I think it 100% comes down to, like you said, just the organization. These guys willing to work with one another. I mean, looks like a lot of these guys kind of stepping out a little bit, trying to maybe get some air on that nose is definitely slowing these guys down. So Chris Johnson really unchallenged right now for this lead.
Unchallenged indeed, and looks like that could be the way this will stay. Al Kozlowski still looking to work that top line here, leading that train for the time being. But again, the outside line just does not have a whole lot of momentum underneath it. And that could mean a rough ride for these guys trying to get speed from the top side as a good gaggle of cars going to jump back down low. Wachinski and Kozlowski, G&G teammates, now the only 2 running the high side. Now, this is what we almost expected to see here, right, Brian? These drivers to be taking it nice and easy and conservative in the first opening laps here. There's no need to push it. You're not even a tenth of the way into a 100-lap event, to the point where even 21st on back all the way to 14th have still fallen off with the rest of the pack. Make that 13th now, only 12 cars in this league grouping. Corey Cook, though, going to the top shelf down in the turn number 3. He's going to be losing a whole boatload of time as a result. Wanted to fall to the back end, it would seem. And now this could get hairy. 3 wide. Pattengale loose out of the corner, trying to hang on to the number 17, and does so. But he will have lost the draft because of that. And Robert Pattengale will now be yet another driver to lose ground. And that is going to make it just an 11-car scrap up in front.
Yeah, I feel like Pattengale, though, luckily there's another pack that's coming up behind him. He should be able to be enveloped by that and, be able to stay in their draft at least. But kind of an interesting call for Corey Cook to fall back like he's doing right here. I mean, a lot of faith, I think, going into that, first stage caution. Going to give these guys a chance to get back into this. But, I mean, Corey been running really good up front. and I do believe he got the second place finish last week. So, kind of surprised to see him doing this. But he is coming off of a lot of momentum from that second place finish last week, though.
I wonder if he fell back as he was potentially starting to overheat. Of course, that is one thing that these drivers really have to worry about when they're drafting a big pack like this, especially for Corey Cook, though, because he was not just sticking him behind like a lot of these guys are, just, lifted off the throttle a little bit. He was giving full pushes to Chris Johnson, getting right up on the back bumper, meaning there was no cool air flowing into that machine. It was being blocked by Chris Johnson's bumper, so that's probably what he had to do. He had to jump to the top side just so he could kind of just settle him back a little bit and sort himself out, and he's going to get into a little bit with Felipe Radojcic, let the 99 back in line before they both lost the draft. And now he's going to try to push the 99 car back out towards the front of this field. You wonder if maybe now he's going to opt to try to push him up to the front, but you can see him even now starting to lift off, and I think that is the case. He's trying to keep that car from getting a little bit too hot.
Yeah, it could very well be the case. And we kind of discussed it before the race itself, before the broadcast even started, about how, these guys don't have that option to adjust their tape and things like that. I mean, that's something that's with the Gen 6. This car does not have tape on the front end, so not a lot of wiggle room. I mean, you definitely have to always have that in the back of your mind.
Now both Radojcic and Cook going to be going up to the top shelf, but they don't get anywhere and have to top back in line. Just at the top end of the shot, you saw that second train way down to the field, about a whole straightaway, separating these two different packs for the time being. And honestly, I'm not quite sure what Radojcic and Cook are going to do. The only way you can really make a move is if you get a lot of guys going to the top side. But as I say that, there goes Kozlowski and Wyszynski looking to make some speed. The 25 of Andrew Layton thought about going with him, but he had to decide at the last minute.
What I've been so impressed with, though, is got to be, Derek Jacobs, a relative newcomer, and Andrew Layton. Both of those guys, newcomers here in this league, and have been doing such a great job. They're up in the top 3 right now. Excellent to see, but that top line is starting to get a lot more organized as Al Kozlowski decides he's going to go up there, too.
The outside line starting to form up. Will they have enough speed in there, though, to potentially maybe this time challenge for the race lead? 10 to go in stage number 1, this time by, with the stage ending at the end of lap number 20. And Kozlowski this time has got a much better charge, getting clear of Andrew Layton, trying to pull alongside with Derek Jacobs in his pace in number 27 Chevrolet, with Chris Johnson still leading the way, having led officially just about every single lap of this race so far. Look at the 88 car, looking to lean on that inside line, trying to side draft, trying to pull them back, doing so nicely, doing exactly what he needs to do, and now he's got some help behind him to push him up to the front of this thing.
Almost looks like these guys are racing for the end of the stage here, but we still have 10 laps to go. Soon to be 9 laps to go in this stage. Kind of early, in my opinion, to be throwing some side drafts like that.
You do what you got to do, and it's going to work, because the 25 had no speed coming off of turn number 4. But through the trial, able to just reel it all right back in. Derek Jacobs still having a solid run up in front in his number 27 machine, trying to link up with Chris Johnson just up the road, but is not having a very fun time on being able to keep the likes of Kozlowski at bay now. Does Jacobs go to the top side to help out the 88, or does he stick it on the bottom side, play it safe, and stick with the 48 for the time being?
I think I would stick with the bottom for now. I mean, because it seems like it's tried but true. Everybody on the top, I mean, they have been making some gains, but at this point, I don't think it's gotten rubbered in enough to maybe to allow these guys to make the runs they were making in practice. But Chris Johnson definitely in control of this thing, and I think he owes that to Derek Jacobs. Derek Jacobs doing an excellent job, giving him some good pushes, staying right there, with that bubble in between those two cars, not falling back at all. But now the top lane's starting to get another run generated here.
It's looked to be a solid run so far as we are set to enter the closing stages of stage number 1 on the day. You've still got Kozlowski working the top side. You can see the likes of Derek Jacobs and Chris Johnson looking to try to carry some speed up there as well, but it is not so far been an easy run for these guys up on top to be able to get a run big enough that would allow them to go for the race lead. Every straightaway, they make out that little bit inch. It's one of those incidents where you're going up inch by inch, right? But sooner or later you're going to have to try something else. But at the moment, this is realistically the only option that outside line is going to have. Just keep trying to claw them back in as time goes along. And now look at what Al's starting to do. He's starting to take that outside lane a bit further up the track. Now, I like this because what this means is when that lip kind of comes off of the banking onto the back straightaway, he gets that much more of a run down these long straightaways.
Yeah, I agree totally. I mean, try to run a little bit higher. I mean, that side draft is, all well and good, but when you run a little bit higher on the racetrack, you get that buffer on the wall and you get those guys able to push you that much better. Definitely seems like that is the call to make, and Keselowski right now up to third, now falling back to fourth. As we get set to have, I do believe, 6 laps remaining in the stage. And someone dipped down from the top side. It looks like maybe Corey Cook decided to go to the bottom.
It was. Corey Cook found a hole between Kenny Powell and Brandon Drumhiller and opted to tuck back in line, and that has completely shattered the run that the outside line had. And now, at the moment, Keselowski not able to charge up anymore. He's trying to just stem the bleeding to this point, make sure that he can't fall any further back than he is. He still has enough help where he won't necessarily lose out with the likes of Radovic and Wachinski still behind him, but I doubt he'd be able to properly make up a run unless he could get a 4th car taken up to the top side with him.
Yeah, still making some good runs, but definitely not enough to take this lead. I mean, he is staying right there side by side with Derek Jacobs, Greg Wachinski, and like you said, Radovic doing such a great job, giving him such great pushes. And you talked about, some of the rules of a racetrack like this. You don't push the pusher, and it seems like these guys have definitely been adhered in that rule.
Oh, big run for Keselowski. That time by out of turn 2, and that will be enough to push the 88 to the point. Clear in a turn number 3, but not going to go with them. Wayne Grossi looks like he wants to go behind him, as this time the 88 car is going to jump down low, and officially Al Keselowski leads the way in stage number 1. Wachinski, though, looking to put a stop to that very, very quickly here. Not being pushed at the moment, but is going to go to the front. Not quite leading the last time by, but going to get clear for the lead by the time they get down to turn 1.
What changed so quickly? Everybody started running on the top. I mean, a lot of guys just decided they were going to go up there at the same exact time, and it has really invigorated life here for this top lane. And Wachinski definitely, I think he's going to have the run to be able to get maybe by Keselowski. So Keselowski made a huge mistake deciding to go down there to the bottom.
I think the issue was the fact that a lot of these guys realize there's not a long time to go in these stages, right? I mean, there's only going to be 3 to go at the line. And then it comes to a point where you have to go. I mean, you can't afford to just sit around and wait anymore. And a lot of the people for the outside line, like Radovic, Grossi, Cook, Powell, and Drumhiller all realized this. And they jumped up top before the guys like Chris Johnson and Andrew Layton could even think about moving up to the top side themselves.
Yeah, I almost wonder if there was some type of
contact! Look out! They're going to start wrecking here. Maybe they're going to survive it. Maybe just still trying to wreck. And somehow we get through that without a wreck. How is that not a wreck, Brian?
I have no clue. I definitely see a tremendous amount of damage on Derek Jacobs' machine, but he was able to save it too. I mean, a lot of those guys were able to somehow wheel those machines. That could have easily been a wreck, and it has split up a good bit of this pack now.
That was all kicked off with contact between, I believe it was Cook and Radovic, potentially Wachinski and Radovic up in front. And the hard hit between Wayne Grossi and Derek Jacobs what gave Jacobs all that damage. And they're still racing it out. Pit road is closed. We're 2 laps to go in stage number 1, and it is not yet over. Got guys like Kenny Powell just in behind. They're still trying to close up as well, hoping that these guys wreck each other for a potential stage 1 win. It's Johnson and Keselowski, the only 2 on the bottom. They're no match with a 3-car tandem on the top side.
Yeah, looks like Wachinski has this thing in hand. Here's Corey Cook, able to even get clear here. 3 cars were able to get clear on those 2. So you can see where the strength was lying there. Can Wachinski hold on as we're soon to have 1 to go in the stage?
Here we go. Keselowski back to the top side. Corey Cook's not able to get in there. Last lap in stage number 1. Chris Johnson up to the top shelf as well. Cook starting to drop back. I imagine he's going to be trying to link up with his G&G teammates. And make a run around the outside line for potential stage 1 win. Wachinski going to the block. Cook slots in between Johnson and now Kozlowski ravaging left by himself on the bottom. Wachinski blocks. There's a shot to the back bumper. Now the 88 goes down low, trying to go for the stage 1 victory. Cook sticks up top, looking to go with Wachinski to potentially get G&G a stage 1 win. This would be a huge, tremendous run for a lot of drivers in this field. A G&G 1, 2, 3 is what they're trying to make it. It's a drag race between the 5 and the 88 out of turn 4 for the stage 1 win. But just at the line, Wachinski holds on.
Oh, wow, that was such a close finish there. I could have swore. If you had asked me who was going to win this race out of turn 4, I would have said Kozlowski. But Wachinski definitely taking things in his own hands. What a run from Greg Wachinski.
A very, very intense stage 1 end, and there's still 80 laps of racing left to go. We'll take a quick step away. We'll be back with stage 2 in just a moment.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at TheButtKicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
Coming around through turns 3 and 4, we are expecting pit stops this time by for everybody that would currently be on the lead lap, as you are not able to make it to the end of stage 2 on one fuel run. If you're just joining us, welcome to the ButtKicker 250 for not just round 2 of the ISCA ButtKicker Cup Series, but also round 1 of the ISCA ButtKicker Super Cup Series season here from the World Center of Racing. Greg Wachinski, your stage 1 winner, about to take this field down to the pit road after taking the stage win and stealing it from Al Kozlowski by just 0.02 of a second. We'll see if we can also lead them off a pit road when it's all said and done.
Yeah, pit stops are going to be very important here. I mean, even under yellow, definitely important. Easy to miss your box, maybe get a speed penalty or something like that. So going to be a key moment here for Greg Wachinski as he slides into his box. But I don't know, though. The guys that are like in front of him on pit road, I mean, we've seen that time and time again. The higher up.
Jacobs missed it.
Oh, no. Jacobs having to kick it into reverse.
And he wasn't the only one. Robert Pattengale driving straight through pit road. He also missed his pit box that last time by. So a couple of drivers having unfortunate mishaps on pit road. The first driver that made his stops successfully was actually Corey Cook. Interestingly enough, he took right sides only. Wachinski took 4. We'll see if we can dial up your stage 1 winner for us here at the end of the night after what was a very intense stage 1 victory. And we're going to see if we can't get in touch with Wachinski now. And Greg, I have to say, that was probably one of the most intense stage 1 innings I've ever seen. I'll start with the elephant in the room. The big one that was trying to be a big one, but ended up not quite being a big one. What was your reaction throughout all of that?
I don't know what happened there. It was kind of crazy. I'm not sure if, who hit who there, but it was definitely kind of scary for sure. Just holding on. Got lucky for sure.
He got lucky, I think, is a little bit of an understatement there. You had everybody that was kind of drifting around. They were trying to put on some kind of Formula Drift show for us there. But you ended up taking 4 tires on this stop. A couple of people only elected to take 2. What was the strategy behind you taking 4 this time around?
I don't know. I mean, we got plenty of sets of tires. I figure why not get fresh tires, It doesn't really matter a whole lot where you're starting to. You can come and go pretty quickly here, so.
See what works, see what doesn't. It's a new car, relatively still, so you got to figure out, where the weaknesses are at. You think you can also pull out a hat trick here and potentially go for the Stage 2 win as well?
I think it's possible, sure. Got a good car, real fast car. Got, some of my teammates in here that, can help me out a little bit. So, yeah, I think so.
Before I let you go then here, Greg, anybody you'd like to shout out for that G&G number 5?
Obviously, ButtKicker, ISCA, you guys do a great job up in the booth. And everybody at G&G Racing, so they work hard to make the setups good every week.
And thank you, Greg, for taking the time to join us here tonight. Congrats on a Stage 1 victory. Best of luck in Stage 2.
Thanks. You guys take care.
That was Greg Wachinski joining us up here in the broadcast booth. He is, I believe, the first car that only took 4 tires. Chris Johnson took fuel only. Corey Cook, 2 right sides only for his number 61 Triad machine. So all that said and done here, Brian, which strategy do you think might come out on top here in Stage 2?
I think that 2-tire thing call from Corey Cook, I think that's a great call. That kind of proves that, 2 tires versus no tires at all still wins him the race off pit roads. That is an interesting thing to keep in mind from the future here in these next-gen machines.
Pace car is exiting off of turn 4 this time by. It will be 16 laps to go in stage number 1. When we come around to take that green flag. As the pace car pulls down and in, it's time once again to go green flag racing from Daytona.
Yeah, that's another thing about it, too. That stage 2 is going to be a little bit shorter than stage 1. As we see the top line starting to get a really good run. Chris Johnson, I don't know, Keselowski looking like he maybe wanted to take it 3 wide there a little bit.
It's been a bit of a rough run at the moment for all these guys on the inside line. This is now the second restart in a row where drivers have not been able to get going at all from the bottom side. And it will be Chris Johnson to clear up top with Keselowski trying to follow suit. And Johnson clears, leaving Keselowski out to dry through green 4 out of turn number 4.
Matthew McMeekin, though, getting right up to Keselowski's bumper. Now Keselowski going to have the advantage. I think he's going to be able to go down the bottom, and he does.
Wasn't quite clear, though. I think he kind of was cut a little bit of a break there by some of these drivers throughout the field. I mean, this is starting to get a little bit hairy already up at the top of the field, and already you're already seeing everybody looking to stick with this field, unlike what happened in stage number 1. Keselowski clears. Chris Johnson going to be looking to push to 88 now, as you can still see McMeekin's Fastenal number 41 machine looking to work the high side as well. He's trying to see if he can potentially lead this race for his first time all day.
Yeah, I think this is much different than what we saw in stage 1. A lot of guys that were, more willing to stay further back are now up in the front. As we see Josh Schaffner up in front for the first time today. We haven't really seen him in that 50, now up to 4th. And now Matthew McMeekin leading the top side. Can he take the lead here? So we're seeing a lot of the guys that we did not necessarily see up front, such as John Mullins, also up in 6th place.
Mullins was running up in the top group until he had a bit of a moment that saw him kind of be punned out towards the back of the field. You can see, oh boy, John Mullins getting a bit squirrely behind Josh Schaffner, who was trying to link up with Matthew McMeekin, and that was a bit of a hairy moment, but McMeekin going to stay firm on the top side. Corey Cook and Chris Johnson both want to get around Al Keselowski, and that 88 car going to start to fall back here now. Johnson and Cook both clear. McMeekin still looking at a chart on the high side with help from Josh Schaffner.
Yeah, they wanted to get around Keselowski, and they did that for sure. Made it look effortless, but now the top side, I mean, as I think what I said earlier about this top side getting rubbered in, I think that's exactly what's taking place, and maybe more people were willing to actually use it, as we see Matthew McMeekin being a steadfast supporter of the top. But now the bottom's starting to get a little bit of an advantage here. Will the top get that momentum back?
Schaffner trying to push McMeekin, but McMeekin kind of holding up the number 50 here. That's going to allow Al Keselowski to pop up to the top side, but just as McMeekin tries to pick up the draft, he immediately tucks back in behind Greg Wachinski. The outside lane starting to falter And I think Josh Schaffner's getting a little bit impatient here. He's trying to bump McMeekin in these corners. He's trying to give him pushes. But all of that is just making McMeekin a little bit more unsettled, which is in turn just slowing them all down.
And you know what it could be? I mean, we talk about this a lot with the Gen 6, but I think it's true for this car also, is the different manufacturers. So we see the, that's a Ford that McMeekin's driving while Schaffner's in a Chevrolet. Could that be playing a role?
Looking how fast the 50 car is going to close up here to the back of the 41 as Wachinski jumped up high, and that checks up a good number of drivers in this field. 14 on back have broken apart from your leading grouping, who you can see on your screens right now. They are all single filed out just in behind. Al Kozlowski looking to move to the top side. It's been an interesting moment here, what I'm seeing here from the 88 car. Keeps on trying to make looks to the outside, but then backs out and goes back down in line. I wonder if he's trying to coax Corey Cook to go with him, but Cook just wanted to stick with his drafting buddy, the 48 car, right in front of him.
Could also the 88 be having handling issues or something like that? Because, I mean, maybe that's not something he's voluntarily doing. But Mullins right there behind Kozlowski now, the top side starting to try to get more organized again. Wachinski, I mean, if anybody can get this top side organized, I think it would be Wachinski.
Well, fingers crossed, right? I mean, that's what a lot of these drivers are going to be trying to do, is trying to see if they can set themselves up for a run later in the stage, of which there's already just 10 laps left to go in stage number 2. Schaffner still trying to work with Wachinski, but a good number of drivers have bailed out to the bottom. Randy Drumhiller now the only driver running up in the top with these guys in this field thus far. You see Paul Olsen on the bottom end, and he's thinking of trying to side drive with the top guys, but Wachinski is going to stay up high. Philippe Radojcic now wanted to throw his hat back into the ring of the number 99, just in behind.
Yeah, Radojcic has been one that has been kind of pretty committed to that top line. I'll tell you, one other person that's been really committed to that top line has been Josh Schaffner. I mean, I'm surprised with the patience level he's shown here. I mean, we've seen him getting stuck behind a lot of guys up there on the top, but he's been steadfast with it though, staying up there. One person that's been really doing well, staying on that bottom line, Andrew, Layton, newcomer, first race, and he's doing great. I mean, up in the top 5 right now, just kind of being patient, staying with those bottom guys.
Bit of a check on for John Mullins is going to allow the outside lane to start to carry some speed. And this time, Kozlowski's going to come in. Wachinski's not going to go with him, though. 3-way up the middle for the number 5, and that's going to abandon Kozlowski on the top shelf. Cook and Chris Johnson both trying to follow suit. Johnson can't block the run, though. Contact between Wachinski and John Mullins. And it's going to get hairy here out of turn number 4. They're all going to survive it, though. And Al Kozlowski tucking in behind Josh Schaffner as Corey Cook going to clear for the race lead, and Wachinski stuck in 3rd.
Yeah, that was a little bit of trading paint there for sure. Not very hard hits, but definitely they let each other know that they were there. As we see, like you said, Corey Cook up in front. I mean, ever since, I think this season, Corey Cook has been just coming to life, getting such great finishes, and you can see that he has definitely gotten the patience, the wisdom now to really run well, as Chris Johnson giving him some really good pushes.
And this is not over, not by a long shot. Greg Wachinski is having to really work with Josh Schaffner here, but it's all coming to a bit of a head, especially because Kozlowski's trying to look up the middle. You're right on board with Chris Johnson, tucked right in line with Corey Cook for first and second place. The top 4 in this leading pack, all single filed out.
And you almost want to think that maybe Kozlowski feeling some type of way. That's why he keeps trying to go 3 wide on these guys, because he had that same kind of thing done to him. What I'm surprised, though, is that we see Derek Jacobs still being fairly competitive here with the amount of damage he got in that last incident. He's still right there with these guys. I'm curious to see, though, if he would be able to get clean air, would that damage start to show?
At this point, it's really a sort of who knows type of situation, right? Oh, look out for Mullins screaming to the inside line. You saw the tire smoke fly as the 64 got loose all by himself out of turn number 4. Just the air wash, and once again, cat-like reflexes save the number 64. And And we are now going to be back right with it. That was a bit of a hairy moment, and lucky that he didn't overcorrect up into the rest of the field.
Yeah, he's definitely shown a lot of professionalism, a lot of, wreck avoidance. I mean, to be able to catch that car like that and not have any damage or anything like that, he's going to get the chance to fight on into the next stage. The thing is, he's going to have to really make some adjustments on that car because it seems like he's having some problems with handling when it comes to the air.
And 5 laps left to go now in stage number 2 as we continue to start racking things up here. And if that was the type of racing we're seeing with still like 7-8 laps left to go, you have to wonder if it'll be a bit of a similar type of a situation when we get down to the final 2, right?
Oh, I definitely think so. I mean, these guys have been racing so hard for just the stage finishes. I mean, I wholly expect that last couple laps is going to be insane, as these guys probably going to be banging, door banging, everything. I mean, I would not be surprised to see anything off the table here, as we see Radijic getting a good run up on the top, starting to lead that top lane. Cook out in front, able to maintain his gap and control this race.
And so far, controlling it with 4s from the top shelf as well. Greg Wyszynski trying to link up with that iFly Chevrolet and trying to push him up towards the front end of this field. I always found iFly a bit of an interesting sponsor. It says on the rear bumper, indoor skydiving. How do you skydive indoors?
Yeah, that's definitely interesting for sure. It has to be quite a large building, I would assume, or maybe you dig a hole into the earth.
How do you get back up in that case?
Oh, problems here. Paul Olsen in the middle. And it looks like a little bit of a blinking issue here from Matthew McMeekin.
Yeah, it is. Matthew McMeekin might find himself out of the race. It was a very aggressive move from the number 41, and it looks like that just cost with a bit of instant karma because he is now out of the race, I believe, due to connection issues.
Oh, no. And it looks like we got a top 3 breakaway right now. And Radijic going to be in 4th now, trying to everybody scrambling to the bottom here. That was quite an event there. You could see the results of that. I mean, wow. But I think Radijic's going to have a pretty good run here up to these guys, and especially now we're going to have 2 laps to go in this stage. This could get interesting here as we see Radijic going to the top. But again, left out hanging dry here is Wyszynski going to go to the bottom, and Schaffner.
This is starting to get intense. 2 laps to go.
Up on the backstretch, these guys racing hard. Paul Olsen looks like he might be able to edge his way in front of Radijic.
Single file, but how long will that last? And sure enough, McMeekin out of the race due to that connection problem. Up to the top shelf, Johnson trying to follow with Greg Wyszynski. Wyszynski gets forced back down the line, though. Corey Cook gonna have to stick with him on the inside line. Final lap in stage number 2.
What if Corey Cook wins both of these stages? I mean, look at him right now. He's poised to do it.
Maybe Wyszynski that's looking to win the second stage. Schaffner gonna try to stick up to the high side. Andrew Layton getting unsaddled with Chris Johnson from the bottom, and that'll give all the run that the outside will need to push 2 cars clear from the top shelf. Schaffner, Wyszynski both gonna come down low. Oh, maybe not. Schaffner thinking about trying to maybe go for the outside line, so have a chance to get himself a second stage win. Coming out of turn number 4, though, can the number 50 car get there? He will not. Greg Wyszynski will go and win both stages so far on the night.
Wow, what a sweep from Greg Wyszynski. I mean, that is insanity to see him able to pull that off. I mean, can he win this race too? I mean, that would be perfect for his point situation. And where's he at in the points? I think he's like 5th, didn't he?
Going for the hat trick, and he is a little bit further down than 5th place. He is currently sitting 15th. You need to put a 1 behind the 5, and then you're correct.
Well, I mean, this is definitely going to improve his position, I would assume. I mean, winning 2 stages like that, and we talked about even though this is we're completing the Cup Series season. This is the first race for the Super Cup Series season. So I mean, think about that. I mean, he has really poisoned himself for a great start to that season, wouldn't you say, Nolan?
He most certainly is, and he should find himself with an easy run potentially. At least to get himself hitting the ground running in the points, especially coming on over into Auto Club in just 1 week. We'll take another step away. We'll be back in a few.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
Underway, and as we leave pit road, Chris Johnson in and out of pit road mighty quickly. Fuel only for the number 48 car. Corey Cook was the first one out. Greg Wyszynski all the way back, and I believe about the 6th position. So a bit of an interesting run there for Wyszynski throughout the pit stop. And I have to say, that could spell a little bit of trouble for that number 5 car. He's going to be starting at the outside line.
I mean, I don't know if it's going to be that much trouble. And we've seen this before with him, on these pit stops. He's fell back to 5th, I do believe, on the last one. And, now in 6th place. Every single time these stage breaks or the end of the race comes up, I think we might see this guy up here contending for the win. He seems like he has a very great deal of knowledge on how to control these lines there, Nolan.
He certainly does. I think it's safe to say that he is going to be a serious threat to anybody that wants to try to win this race. And that could prove a bit of an interesting run so far from everybody in this field. We're going to see if we can't dial up another driver to potentially give us a chat here throughout the course of the night. And we'll kick things off. We'll do this really quickly with Chris Johnson. I think they're about to go 1 to green here. But, Chris, I have a bit of a question for you pit strategy-wise. Last stop, it was 2 rights. This time, fuel only. You haven't taken left sides yet. What's the thought process behind that one?
Well, we'll see what happens. I know on super speedways tires don't matter much, so I might take 4 tires. I'm probably going to drive it till it's empty. So, when it's empty, it's best to take 4 tires. But we'll see what happens.
And well, you come out in this so far in the front, but that being said, the guy on the inside line typically hasn't been able to get away well here from stage 3. Do you plan to see if he can maybe break that cycle?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's all about who your friends are, and apparently I don't have too many tonight.
Well, fingers crossed you'll get a few more friends before this race is over, especially once green flag stops. I'll cycle through. Before I let you go, then here, Chris, anybody you'd like to shout out for that number 48?
Of course, Southern Spiral Pipe, ISCA, Tucson Sound Art, ButtKicker, and of course, y'all up in the booth.
Thank you, Chris, for taking the time to join us. Best of luck in stage 3.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think he's 100% right there, Nolan. It's all about the friends out there, and You know, it definitely is a lonesome feeling, even though you're crowded by all these race cars whenever you don't have any friends.
It very much is, and trust me, at a super speedway track, if you don't have any friends, you find that out very, very quickly, and it's usually a very rude awakening.
100%. Well, definitely excited to see what happens here as we get ready to go green. Pace car soon to dip down pit road.
Pace car is down, and then now we get set to go. Back green flag racing for the ButtKicker 250 at Daytona. We are back underway, and will the inside line get a good launch this time round? It's been 2 for 2 so far. Looks like it could be 3 for 3. Corey Cook has the run from the top shelf, being held down by Philippe Radojcic. Both of these drivers have been great on controlling that outside line whenever they've been up there. And the 99 going to link up with the back end of the number 61. Out comes last in number 88, trying to give Chris Johnson a helping hand out of turn number 2 and down the back straightaway. But it's not enough as Cook and Radojcic both clear for the race lead.
Yeah, it looks like it's so hard to hold the line down there on the bottom, too. I don't know if maybe it's the dirty air, but Corey Cook making that decision to go to the bottom. But Radojcic going to be really happy that he did, considering they have such a run up on the top. I think the confidence level on the top has gone up tremendously since the beginning of this race. We haven't seen a lot of guys relying on that in the first stage, but ever since that first stage, everybody up here. Yeah,
saw
Greg Wyszynski mentioned a little bit.
There's a bit of a hip check there, and that sort of thing typically works at a short track. At a super speedway, it usually means, well, it's a whole lot of smoke, and all of a sudden, it's a whole lot less cars that are clean in the field. We got away with it that time, but that's not the sort of thing you want to really try to push your luck with at Daytona.
Yeah, for sure. We're getting closer and closer to the halfway point in this event. I mean, and the closer and closer we get to the conclusion, I think the more the excitement is going to raise, the more the stress level, the more, the anxiety is going to be palpable out here for these drivers. You think this looks easy. These guys are, probably, not lifting very much and just going around here, and you feel like, it's easy. This is a person with anxiety nightmare here, Nolan.
I have to be honest, when it comes to stock car racing and the NASCAR Cup Series scene as a whole, super speedway racing has got to be among some of the hardest forms of racing out there, right up there with road course racing, the level of challenge. And it's not so much the track you have to battle with, it's everyone around you. That's the problem, right? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the track itself, very, very easy to drive. You could drive the Daytona in your sleep. You cannot drive Daytona in your sleep, though, when you got 19 other drivers all over you, all vying for the same type of real estate. And we're talking sometimes less than an inch apart from each other.
Yeah, and a wreck can happen at any time. I mean, one little errant push from one of these guys. I mean, let's say Corey Cook gets in the back of Philippe Radojcic a little bit, too hard or something like that, which kind of just happened a little bit. They got a little out of sorts, but no problem. But, you could definitely find yourself, a little bit of a bump draft, errant bump draft, or even just someone running on the top and trying to side draft you and just catching you at the wrong point could cause, an untold devastation. And it only happens in microseconds, too. I mean, there's no time to react to it at a track like this when you're going so fast.
Now that we're in the third and final stage, I think it's about high time we start thinking about pit stops, right? We're expecting these guys to be pitting in potentially around lap 70 to 75-ish. I think that's a bit of a kind of a safe bet to go for at this point in time. So with all that in mind, when do you think we're going to be getting those green flag stops? Or do you think we're even going to be able to get that far under green to be able to get there? Because we've had a few close calls as it is.
Yeah, we definitely had some close calls, but I feel like everybody's still being fairly patient with one another. I think we will probably end up seeing a green flag pit stop here tonight. And I feel like, we already talked to Wyszynski, and he said he was going to probably run, or no, I'm sorry, we talked to Johnson, and he said he was going to run the fuel out. So, I would expect a lot of these guys are probably going to be in the same vein. A lot of times at these super speedways, you want to go with the majority of guys. So, we might see some guys have different team, strategies, maybe going with one another, but I think the majority of everyone's going to pit at the same time, and could it be when they run it out? I don't know.
Got Corey Cook also kind of in the mix of things here, still looking to scrape it up for the race lead, but so far the first side-by-side battle is Wyszynski and Kozlowski, G&G teammates. That is for fourth place on the racetrack. You're riding on board with Corey Cook for the time being, right behind that iFly number 99 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. And you got Kozlowski's Speedway Angels machine looking to make a charge with the high side as well and trying to pick up more time. Chris Johnson still running to the bottom lane, still third place from the bottom side as well. You know, it seems like he's got a lot of friends out there tonight, and I have to say, I think it's hard to kind of see that he's a bit wrong in that one, but at the same time, you know, he has been running up in front, and that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many friends you have on the track. If you're the one up in front, you don't have friends. That's just how super speedway racing works.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, he probably doesn't have any friends, but you're friends with these guys until they decide they're not your friend anymore. So, I mean, they're going to push you, do whatever they got to do. But as soon as the last couple laps come around, they're not your friends anymore at all. So, Kozlowski getting some good pushes up top. I'm surprised that top lane is doing so well as we have a damaged car pushing Kozlowski. I mean, Derek Jacobs, we saw that earlier damage he'd gotten. Well, apparently he spent enough time down pit road. He's gotten that thing worked out where he's able to really be a solid pusher here. Kozlowski really doing a lot of side drafting. Wow, he is slowing down this bottom line.
But that's also just allowing the top three to break away, because while the bottom line isn't getting any speed, neither is the top side. They're running about the same speeds. That's got to be one thing that he's going to have to manage here, right? You don't want to make sure that you side drive to the point where you lose the draft to the three cars in front of you, who every time you do that are still going to be able to break away just a smaller little gap. But it looks like this time by the 1-2, they were right back in. Ball checks from the inside line. We are past halfway. We're running lap 52 out of 100 this time by, or it'll be 53 actually this time by. So this race really is just flying through. We're not even an hour into this thing yet.
Yeah, definitely been worth the watch. Hopefully everybody out there definitely enjoying it. I mean, I've definitely thoroughly been enjoying this, seeing all these guys competing and driving their hearts out to try to get a good finish here. Especially with, you know, two things kind of on the line: the start of the Super Cup Series and the end of the regular Cup Series. Definitely, I mean, there's a lot on the line right here, Nolan.
There very much is, and at the moment, a lot of these guys, I think, more have the end of the regular Cup Series season in their heads. Considering there's only 3 races left, right? I mean, I think at the moment that's what a lot of these guys are more putting focus towards. There are 2 drivers in this field, though, that are not going to be putting focus towards that. Those drivers are Andrew Layton and Matt DiCianni. Both of those drivers, of course, newcomers, and I imagine here for the start of the Super Cup Series season, which does kick off today in this very same race, and you're seeing that season opener playing out right now. But for guys like Chris Johnson, Kenny Powell, and the likes, they're more still focused up on trying to wrap up one series before starting another.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you don't have a chance in really this the end of this season, I feel like a lot of the guys maybe are looking forward. I mean, maybe like a Greg Wyszynski, who you said is back in like 15th. You know, he's looking to really capitalize on the new season here. But yeah, you're right. There's some new guys out there that are worried about this new season coming up. But this has been such an exciting race here, and seeing Radicic. I mean, I don't think we've seen him up at the front quite a lot in ISCA history. He's up here, definitely super speedway. Looks like he is the Pied Piper.
That is the thing about super speedway racing, right? It really is a bit of a wild card race. And I like to refer to this as these are the one race where everybody, even on open setups, is on an even playing field. These are the races where so long as you have the draft, you have just as much of a shot of winning as everybody around you does. They are the races where, while they're not easy to win, everybody's got an equal chance of winning them. And that fact right there is what makes them so tough to win.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you have to, I think all super speedway racing, you know, we talked about how, you know, the actual driving itself is not that hard when it comes to, Daytona or something like that. You can drive in your sleep. But it's all about the decisions you make, and it's so easy to make the wrong decision here at this track, especially considering decisions happen in microseconds.
A lot of the tracks coming over in the next little while are more draft heavy, right? You obviously have Daytona nowadays. You got Fontana next week. You got Las Vegas, which not as drafty as it was before with a high downforce, low horsepower package, but this draft is still important. The only time where we really start to pump the brakes big time isn't going to be until Phoenix. And that is not until March 10th We go set for round number 4, and that is the first race after the end of the first season of the regular Cup Series season in 2021. The next road course, I should say, isn't until March 24th on my birthday, by the way. So that'll be an interesting race for, as a little bit of a birthday wish. Hopefully we get a big race. That's my birthday for the ISCA. And then, of course,
know what I'm looking for, though? It's got to be Atlanta.
Oh, yeah, Atlanta. That's going to be an interesting one. Now, of course, Atlanta in the real world has gone through a massive overhaul with massive renovations, new banking, new service, you name it, it's got it. I wonder when ISCA is going to rescan it. I hope it would be soon, considering that is going to be completely changing the entire dynamic of Atlanta Motor Speedway.
I mean, it's going to be a lot like this, but I think that's even going to be more interesting to see a mile-and-a-half version of this. Oh, some problems
look
here.
Out! That's Kenny Powell going around with them is Robert Pattengale.
Both of them had some contact with one another. No caution going to be thrown for that, though.
No yellow, we stay green. There was a bit of a hit, though. It looks like Pattengale just got loose out of turn number 4 and just body slammed Kenny Powell down into the inside wall.
You hate to see that because I know Pattengale, he definitely does not drive with any kind of collision intent at all. I mean, just kind of, he's always been a pretty big staple of ISCA, but, of course, not one of the fastest guys, but he definitely does not do things like that on purpose.
Oh, yeah, he definitely got loose. And I mean, that's the thing about Daytona, though, right? I mean, this new aerodynamic package, it makes these cars a lot more unstable. In fact, he's far from the first person that's done that today. I mean, you could probably count just about everybody so far in this field who's had a moment similar to that already throughout the course of this race, whether it be at the front or at the back.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's kind of a new variable that has been introduced with these new cars. I mean, because they're so aero-dependent, having those, ducts going underneath these race cars, they kick out so much dirty air, can cause many problems for these drivers.
Oh, for sure, which is why it was such a good thing there that was not a yellow flag, and it was just the two of them that got collected. Of course, it would have been preferable if neither of them were collected, but obviously, you have to make the pick. I mean, 2 cars better than about 12 that are currently running up here in this top grouping, which is now a 13-car pack up in front. While all this has been going on, Al Kozlowski has still been trying to work that outside lane to his advantage. Radovich cleared for the race lead.
I don't know, though. It's a really challenge right here. Now, it looks like Kozlowski is right side by side with Radovich. I don't know. I feel like he might have him. As they get the run on the straightaway, this is going to be big. It looks like Kozlowski maybe thinking of going down there, but not clear.
Oh, Radovich, and a bit of a bad bum there from Corey Cook down into turn 3. That could open up a bit of an opportunity for the top line, but it looks like it will. Look at the 88 car carrying the momentum from the high side around, and he will take the lead and clear just barely, but opts not to go for it. Decides to tuck it back in line with Derek Jacobs, and I don't know what Al's doing here. He's kind of trying to, I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to balance both lines to make sure they can't gang up on him on the outside.
I kind of thought maybe he was learning his lesson, like to be friendly and stay with that top side. I mean, Derek Jacobs did a phenomenal job pushing him up there. You can even see he still has damage on that thing, but now he's in clean air. Seems like it's not hurting him very much. He might actually be a contender for the lead himself.
Helps that he's also got Andrew Layton currently to push him as well in his number 25 Chevrolet Camaro. So the Folgers machine of Andrew Layton will be able to try to run up with pace in 27. Maybe they could see if they could gang up on the Speedway Angels and G&G number 88 Chrome machine to work their way up to the front of this thing. I have to say, there is so much chrome on that car, Brian. Do you happen to know if, like, the chrome purple line down the middle is by design, or if that is just...
Which car is that?
It's the number 88, the one leading it. It's hard to miss. It's the chrome number 88 car, the one that's leading it. But you don't have the purple line that's, like, right down the length of the car. Do you know if that's by design or if that's literally just because there's that much chrome on the car?
Yeah, I have no clue. I mean, it's classic Al Kozlowski, though. I can't tell you that.
I've been doing races with the ISCA for about a year and a quarter now, and that car has not changed an inch from
it's
when
a pretty car. I mean,
I
give him credit. I mean, it is a nice looking car. You see Al Kozlowski. You know, there's Al Kozlowski. You know,
you can't miss him. Just look for the car covered in chrome, trying to use it as a mirror to disorient the guys behind him.
Yeah, without that purple, though, I think he would blend in with the racetrack, wouldn't he?
Yeah, just about, yeah. Especially under the lights.
But definitely doing a great job right now. Al Kozlowski in control of this thing. But thing is, we have kind of alluded to, pit stops are going to have to happen. These guys cannot make it. The fuel run is 33 laps from what we've heard. Of course, it's going to be a little bit less for the guy that is out in front.
Taking a real quick look on how the stints are looking so far. These drivers are about to be starting their 22nd lap on these stints, so we're expecting maybe within 10 to 13 laps or so they'll be coming on down. So that is going to be right around the 74 to 76 mark, kind of where I was predicting they might be coming on down for the last quarter. And once again, we've had a close call. Still time before we get to that point before we get a caution, but at this point, I do believe they would not quite be safe to the end on fuel, even if the caution comes out now. They'd still have one stop left of them for a splash and dash.
Definitely be interesting. I mean, I think these guys are keeping it pretty clean, though. I don't suspect we're going to see a caution. I feel like these guys have gotten in it to where, we want to race this thing out in the long haul. I mean, of course, for the viewers out there, we would much prefer to see these guys, run it out on gas and do some strategy. I mean, I think that's the funnest racing when you see here at the super speedways is that strategy when it comes to pit road.
That's where it really kind of all falls apart, is what I've noticed in a lot of series so far when those green flag pit stops roll around, because obviously, at that point, I've got a lot of drivers that are just trying to see if they can edge their way out, and maybe one of these guys in the pits, they're going to try to brake just that little bit later. Of course, when you're trying to, pit in from 190 miles an hour down to 55 with like 4 or 5, maybe even up to 10 other guys pitting around you, it's a perfect recipe for somebody to go skirting off into the infield.
Oh, 100%. I mean, we've seen that before. I mean, and a lot of, with these cars, too, it actually is a little bit more dangerous considering these guys aren't really used to these brakes. I mean, these are some different brakes that these guys are having to do, different, lower profile tires. So, I mean, you don't feel exactly when you're losing it when you're under heavy braking. So that could also pose a problem. As they start to come up on some lap traffic, this is going to make things really interesting. As I do believe that is the one.
It is. Matt DeCiani dropped off of the lead pack early on in this run, and he is just now being caught. He is now the lucky dog driver. Our Pattingill, by the way, after being... Oh, boy. Rachinski comes up. I think maybe wanted to pressure Derek Jacobs for backing out just a touch, maybe.
Tell you what, that was scary. That was terrifying. I thought those guys were about to collide, but luckily that was not the case.
And now about to catch Robert Pattingill and Kenny Powell, the two drivers that tangled. They're not on the same lap, but Kenny Powell is about to go down a lap, which would put him as the lucky dog.
And I feel so bad for Kenny Powell, too. I mean, we talked about it, before this kind of race started. We talked about Kenny Powell, being able to make, maximize his points here against Clayton Hoffman, who's not here tonight. Well, I mean, he's still going to be counted because he's here, going to be able to, get a little bit of points here on Clayton, but not enough to what he needs.
Yeah, it is such a shame, isn't it? I mean, Kenny Powell, this was really his night. If he wanted to pounce on that championship, this was going to be the night. He had the opportunity to bring an 85-point deficit down to just 25. And even now, we still could have brought it down to a 45. But after tonight, I think that might just be it. All Clayton Hoffman's really going to have to do next week is just finish the race, and he'll be golden. Because at the moment, you can score a maximum of 60 points per race. So if that points gap is larger than 60 at the end of next week, it's over.
One thing I do got to really give credit to everybody out here on this racetrack. There's only been 4 people that have gone a lap down, which, I mean, that's something to be, said about this. We talked about, being afraid to see everybody getting wrecked out early, but these guys have carried on. What do you say, Nolan?
They certainly have. A lot of these drivers have very much been able to kind of pick themselves up, carry on a little bit, even from some of the incidents that have happened so far earlier today. And we're going to continue to see that as the night goes along. this point, it's only a matter of time before this field gets really split apart, right? Because we're used to seeing these large, 15, 16 car strong runs. But once pit stops happen, that's going to gradually shrink out until the biggest gap we're going to have is probably only going to be about 7, 8 cars at the very most. And that's just the way things go, right? I mean, you have these guys that will all be pitting separately, and it's inevitable that they're not going to be able to get linked up again.
And I'm watching this right now. Looks like a lot of these guys maybe.
We might have lost Brian for a brief moment there, and you saw Corey Cook looking to move to the top shelf, trying to link up with Al Kozlowski. Radaway Jake, though, had a thing or two to say about that. He decided not against it. We are at the point where if a caution comes out, we would have enough fuel to make it to the end. So at this point in time, drivers have only one stop they'll need to make throughout the remainder of this race. And then we're going to be good to go to the end.
Do apologize about that, Nolan. Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but yeah, I was thinking that a lot of these guys are starting to single file out, maybe getting prepped for green flag pit stops.
"30 laps to go this time by, and for the first time in this entire third stage, the top pack is single filed out. Unbelievable it's taken that long.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, most of this race has been a lot of double file racing, very exciting. But I like I said, I think these guys are getting prepped for green flag pit stops, which should happen in the next few laps. And but a lot of lap traffic starting to be caught here too. I'm sorry, it looked like there was some lap traffic being caught there, but I was mistaken. That was actually the pack splitting here. So there has been quite a little bit of chaos going on here as Derek Jacobs and the 8th place position of Josh Schaffner. Quite a bit of a gap between those two now.
Even with the likes of Bartlett, Paget, and Don Avery, there's been a bit of a split as well. A lot of these drivers have been starting to... Oh, hello. Oh, that's pit stops coming on up, right on schedule. Derek Jacobs coming into pit road.
But by himself, it looks like actually someone is joining him.
A bit far back, though, and that's actually a good train behind him that's joining as well. That's Bartlett, Patchett, Avery, and Layton all coming in. That was 12th to about 15th place. That's all come down to the pit road. We're 29 laps into these stints. Fuel window is about 33.
I'm curious if that's going to really, put the green light out for all these other guys to maybe go down pit road. As we see Al Kozlowski and all these guys up here in the front pack still racing pretty hard. I don't know. They're starting to single file out. I think that we will see these guys come down any time now. Wouldn't be surprised to see some communication going on. Because, I mean, this is like the perfect time, Nolan, for communication between drivers.
Oh, no, he doesn't. John Mullins wanted to go into pit road, realized no one was going in with him, and came back out right behind the train.
Yeah, that's definitely a surprising decision there. You've seen that, decide to do something else can kind of go the wrong way, but luckily it worked out for him. Is he going to be able to stay with their draft? It looks like he is.
And now we look back up to the main grouping here. There is John Mullins just tucking into line with the main draft in behind. Corey Cook is called for the lead pack. He's pitted in. That's your second place driver pitting in. Sorry, the third place driver pitting in this time by. They mingled it up with the guys that have already pitted. The top 5 all coming into pit road this time by. And this is where it gets a little bit hectic. Look at Wachinski up the middle, 3 wide into pit road. They all get through safe and sound. So does the group of 4 that came in just behind them. And we're all clean into pit road.
Yeah, I saw a lot of brake smoke, or tire smoke, I should say, but luckily these guys were able to make it through clean. What a great job from these guys. I mean, they were almost 3 wide going into pit road, and they still managed to keep that under wraps. I mean, you usually see less drivers having to deal with that. They're going to wreck.
Tight calls in a pit road. That's just what we like to see, isn't it, at a track like this?
And right now, Paul Olson up in the lead. He is followed right behind with Randy Drumhiller.
And Philippe Radojcic, I think, is just tucked in behind. No, Radojcic, I believe, came down pit road. Yes, he did. So it is Olson and Drumhiller still out there on the race course.
And all these guys came out around the same time. Radojcic leading them out, as you see Al Kozlowski, Chris Johnson, all right there on each other. So great pit stops for a lot of those guys. They were to come out right together. That's going to definitely help them And I think the race for the lead right now is probably for that third position right now.
It was. Felipe Radojic was the race leader. Actually, no, it wasn't. Al Kozlowski was the race leader, so the race lead actually changed hands in the pit stop this time by. Radojic got one up on Al Kozlowski. John Mullen slipping in just a little bit further behind. The top two still staying out. I wonder if Drumhiller and Olsen are hoping for a late caution here that might mean they could at least make up a couple of spots throughout the pit cycle.
It's going to be close, though. I mean, thinking about, they are in draft right now, probably saving a little bit of gas as they're, Paul Olsen's following Derek Jacobs. But the thing is that they're going to run out of gas soon, Nolan. I mean, that's going to be a problem they're going to deal with. And, they're going to have to stop at some point. Is that caution going to come out? It could be. But the thing is everybody's so spread out. I think it's unlikely.
Grassi, Powell, Pattengale all in pit road this time by as well. And now I'm seeing Randy Drumhiller, second place, coming in by himself this time as well. Even just Paul Olsen, I believe, is the sole driver that is yet to pit up in front.
Yeah, this is not going to be good, too, because, I mean, you wait that long to pit, you're going to end up going in by yourself, just like we saw with Randy Drumhiller. I mean, you have to have someone to work with. I mean, we talked to Chris Johnson earlier. He said, you have to have friends, and he don't feel like he has any. Well, it's definitely going to feel like that when you pit by yourself, because you're going to come out and there's not going to be anybody there to help you.
Paul Olsen has made the call. He's pitting in this time by in the final quarter now of this race. Olsen coming down into pit road. And that will mean it'll be Felipe Radojic who will now lead the way when everything is said and done.
Yeah, we see Felipe right now passing the Randy Drumhiller there coming off of pit road. So, yeah, he's not even going to be able to catch their draft, I don't believe. So, yeah, Radojic
falling back a ways.
Yeah, officially, or technically, I would say Radojic is definitely leading this race. Al Kozlowski, been so impressed with him tonight, though. I mean, these guys have definitely, they're content to work together right now. I think this could get hairy, though, later. If a caution doesn't happen, this is going to be an interesting race, though. I mean, 6 right now racing each other.
The top 6 for the time being are all within a big, long train, and that is just what you like to see. Actually, check that. It's only the top 5, and Meekin's just tagging on his lap traffic right at the rear.
Hey, I don't blame him at all. I mean, sometimes that's the best thing you could do at a track like this. If a caution comes out, he's going to be looking really pretty.
And Paul Olsen moves up high. He is just out of pit road, and he will allow the top 5 all through. But I believe Radojic back up in front of this field. 22 laps to go this time by. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be back in just a few moments with the final half of this race.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at TheButtKicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
Coming to 20 laps to go here in the ButtKicker 250 as we get set to close out what it has so far been a caution-free race. As pit stops are complete, your running order looks like this. Al Kozlowski currently with the lead. Chris Johnson, Greg Wyszynski, Corey Cook, and Philippe Radojcic. All with them in one long train with the lap car Matthew McMeekin tucked just in line. Greg Bartlett is in 6th place with Mark Paget in 7th. This is in the second train at this point. Don Avery, Derek Jacobs, as well as Paul Olson, all in the mix of this one as well to round out the top 10, Brian.
Yeah, I'm looking at the lap times for Greg Bartlett here to see how he's doing up in the front of this train here, see if these guys are actually catching up to this top 5, but I don't think they are. Looking at their lap times, they're about a half a second slower, so I expect that top 5, they're all going to be racing this thing out to the end, but unless these guys get more organized, they still have about 3.8 seconds in between them and the front group.
Drumhiller, Schaffner, Mullins, Sanchez, Layton all running by themselves. DeCiani is the lucky dog driver, currently 1 down. He'll join the likes of Grossi, Powell, McMeekin, and Pat Gale all laps down as well. And you talked about how Greg Bartlett is trying to close up time. Well, I happen to have the bit of an inside track here on how many, or on kind of what the timing delta has been looking like. And well, it was looking good for a time. This train was catching up by some margin, and in fact, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they were actually catching in by just a little bit, and they closed in by 8/10 of a second, 5 laps ago, another 3/4 of a second, 4 laps ago, 1.3 seconds, 3 ago. They were actually about dead even this time by. I actually closed in another 1/4 second this lap by, so it's kind of fluctuating at the moment,
yeah,
but they are slowly catching.
Yeah, you're right. I think maybe they're listening to the broadcast, saying that they need to be more organized. It looks like they're doing exactly that. 46.667 last time by from Greg Bartlett. The leader was able to hit a 46.935, so that's a couple tenths there for sure.
Trouble for Matthew McMeekin. He got into Philippe Radojcic, and they went up into the outside wall. That's a lapped car tangling with lean lap traffic, and it was McMeekin trying to side drive. He forced the 99 below the line. We can get another look at that one. That is huge in your battle for the win. That's going to force Radojcic in a pit road with damage along with McMeekin. And we'll take a look at this one down the back straightaway. You're going to watch this here, Brian, as they exit turn number 2. It just doesn't leave anywhere to go. I mean, I'm sorry, but what are you doing?
What was he thinking there?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you move up to move aside for lead lap traffic. That's fine. But it just came down and just flat out dumped him.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate. I mean, Radojcic has been doing such a great job here tonight. Like I said, the Pied Piper on the Daytona road or Daytona Oval here, and now has a ton of damage on that race car.
Good grief.
And no caution either. That is what's going to really hurt him.
That's going to hurt the lead pack as well, because that's now one less driver that they're working with up in front. The lap times last time by, 46.885 for Corey Cook, 47.1 for Greg Bartlett. So they did lose about 2/10s, Bartlett and co, up to the likes of Corey Cook. But that's not to say that they still can't catch them. They still got time with 15 to go this time by.
Yeah, I think it's definitely still something that it can happen. And especially we're seeing Greg Bartlett's pack here. Maybe pick up Wayne Grossi if he can stay in the draft. It looks like he is going to lose that draft. But, I mean, it definitely would be good if you could pick up some lap cars to help out, too. But Al Kozlowski doing a great job, poised to win this thing. But now only a four-car pack, I should say, up here in the lead. And they are coming up on some lap traffic, too. So hopefully no one does exactly what just happened there with Matthew McMeekin. That was kind of, I have to think that he didn't realize that he was not clear. I have to think it had to be what it was, because I just don't understand why you would do something like that.
It is 15 laps to go this time by, and time is starting to rapidly run out for these drivers deeper in this field. I'm still going to be kind of keeping tabs on the second train here, seeing if they're closing in at all. This time by, coming around to the start-finish line. I believe it's about a 1/10 gained. So they are still closing in the gap, now under 4 seconds. But they still need to get, I would say, within a second to be able to realistically mount a proper charge.
I think it's well within the realm of possibilities. I mean, this is such a big track, 2.5 miles, takes about, 46, 47 seconds to get around this place. I mean, I think that these guys have enough time, and the way that they've been turning laps, I mean, they've been consistently now faster than this top 4. I think it's definitely possible that we could see this 77 or anybody in this train actually contend for this win. And that's going to be so exciting to watch. I mean, you love it when it kind of goes like that. I mean, even though these guys maybe didn't have the best pit strategy, they are working together through solid, cooperation. They're starting to catch these guys.
They very much are, and it is by far not over yet. I mean, this race so far, apart from the stage cautions, has actually been caution-free. And yet, at the same time, unlike in the single file era, it is actually exciting to watch, which is, a very it's a nice change of pace. It's caution-free, but not just because it's single file. It's caution-free because these guys are genuinely just that good on the track, which is excellent to see. 2 laps to go. This second train closed in by 0.4 of a second. It is same story this time around. 16 thousandths gained. Gap is down to 3.6 with just 11 laps to go at the line this next time by. The gap's still coming down.
Yeah, it's still coming down, but I will say, though, last time by, Al Kozlowski and, the other top 4 positions there, they actually mounted a little bit of a good charge there, matching those guys' lap time, so they didn't gain quite as much as they could. So I think those guys are watching their relatives. They're seeing that, hey, we are under, we might be under fire here if we don't really work together.
It is worth noting that the top 4 are all teammates, which could have a very big say in how they're playing out.
Yeah.
With all of that in mind, I think it's still impressive that these guys in behind are still closing in so much. It's another 2/10 gain this lap.
Oh, wow.
That gap's closing in to the point where they very well could be within drafting distance and striking distance by the white flag.
Soon, very soon, I think they will. I mean, and the closer and closer they get, I mean, you talk about a draft. I mean, as soon as they get within at least a second, they're going to start feeling some major pulls. And, I mean, these guys are definitely working together well. Greg Bartlett, I mean, could he win this race? I mean, I'm just curious, which, even if these guys do mount the charge, we always talk about it, it's one thing to catch someone. It's another thing completely to pass. This could be a major battle here. I cannot wait to see it. And when the gloves come off, it could get disastrous for some of these drivers.
Another 2/10 this lap. This is starting to get a little bit antsy, but there's problems brewing in the second train. Don Avery having some technical difficulties, and that is a really big pusher in that second train that is no longer present. So now it's even strength between both of these trains. I think it's now going to be a real question of who's the better pusher, the guys up in front or the guys trying to catch them.
Yeah, that was a major hit there. I mean, I don't know how these guys are going to recruit from that. I mean, it's really going to be all on the shoulders of the 0-2 of Mark Padgett.
And now you can see Greg Bartlett looking to go up top to kind of get a bit of a draft there with the lap traffic of Robert Pattengale and Kenny Powell. But this time by, that advantage is gone. 2/10 lost for the second train, and I think that might be it. The gap is 3.6. They're just starting to extend. The fact that Avery kind of dipped out there and is now well behind, I think that was the killing blow for these drivers in their hopes to go for a win.
I mean, it's just so unfortunate. I mean, I really thought, I was rooting for him, to be honest with you, Nolan. I was like, yeah.
They would have caught him by the white flag, I think, had that not happened. Such a shame for Don Avery, and you never know, right? I mean, maybe they wouldn't have caught him. You never know what could have happened later on. But that means this is going to now be a 4-horse race up in front for a potential race win, and all 4 G&G teammates. Kozlowski from Johnson, from Wachinski, from Cook. How long before they start to realize it's all bets are off?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll happen with at least 2 laps to go. I feel like, they might be G&G compatriots, but you know, when you get to those last couple laps, all bets are off. I mean, all the gloves are going to come off. I don't care if you're friend or foe. We're going to be fighting. I'm going to try to get that win from you.
7 laps to go. You see Corey Cook looking to the outside, and I have a feeling he's trying to see what it'll take to set up a proper run that could find himself at least on the podium.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, these guys are they're gonna pull out their good hand at the last time, second. They've been bluffing this whole time. They're gonna put the Zent their flush, their royal flush, if they can, to try to get that pass done. But I still kind of wouldn't count out. Well, I was saying that. I was looking at Greg Bartlett this last time. He was actually a little bit faster than this front pack. But I do believe this next time, I don't think they are going to be. They have lost a lot of time since then.
6 laps left to go in tonight's race. Time is running out.
And what a race it's been. I mean, it has been quite the battle all night. Like you said, I mean, they really have fixed this package. I mean, we were worried about it for a long time. Like, is this how it's really going to look? We've definitely had our, prayers answered as we see tonight's race. I mean, this plate type of racing, this kind of plate racing here is something I can get behind.
Oh, you and me both. I mean, this is the type of racing that we love to see day in, day out, and there's not a single one of us in this booth right now that would wish for this race to have gone any differently. 5 laps left to go. Catching up to lap traffic of Wayne Grossi, but so far lap traffic has not caused problems since the pit stops. I would expect tonight to be no different, or this time around with Grossi.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of hate to contradict you here, Nolan, but I mean, I think lap traffic definitely was a problem for Philippe Radijik.
hey. Let's not blame the outlier. Let's not let the outlier ruin the trend. But I know what you mean. You get the cases where, yes, okay, hard to argue.
But I definitely think all these guys in the top 4, they are really trying to figure out what they can do. I think this whole race has really been a learning experience for a lot of these guys to try to figure out what they can do, what their tools are. How can I make a move, sitting behind this guy? Can I figure out a way to get by him?
4 to
who's gonna go with him?
I mean, honestly, when you're in a pack like this, we should not expect these guys to really go side by side until 1 to go, right? Because, I mean, you can make your run with just 2 cars. You just need an extra person to work with you.
Yeah, and if you do it too early, it could be a waste. I mean, are you going to be in the lead when we cross that finish line? That's what really matters.
Got a few different trains. You obviously have this top 4. You've got 5th to 8th. You got 9th on back with really everybody else. 17th and 18th just running by themselves. There is the biggest train on the pack right now. You see it just out of turn number 2 and down the back straightaway. That's headed up by Josh Schaffner. Got lap traffic in there as well. Matt DeCiani pushing the leader of the train. Randy Drumhiller, Mark Sanchez, Andrew Layton, Don Avery, John Mullins, all in a mix of this one. As the leaders take 3 to go. So down the back straightaway for the 3rd final time with 2.5 laps left to go in the ButtKicker 250. And I have to say, this has been nothing but a thrill of a race to watch. I mean, you had your exciting moments real early, and now we're getting set to get a solid run throughout the rest of this race. This is going to be one heck of a final run, and there it is. Wachinski to the top shelf with Corey Cook trying to go with them. Chris Johnson cuts them off, though. We're tucked back in line with 2 to go.
Yeah, already some guys trying to make that pass here early. So the gloves have come off. Chris Johnson, big run on the high side, and Greg Wachinski and Corey Cook going with him.
And out Kozlowski, I think he's lost the draft. Kozlowski's lost the draft. He's out of the fight for the win here. That little bit was all she wrote for the 88, making it now a potential just 3-horse race for the win. I think he's just managed to stay with it. White flag this time by.
Yeah, with him being a little bit further back, if he can catch this draft, he might have a heck of a run here. But the
Oh,
thing
he's
is,
got
we
it
talked
back.
about it. Greg Wachinski and Greg Bartlett, 2.3 behind. They gained a lot of time because of that move.
They certainly have. Kozlowski looking low. Oh, he wrecks him. Corey Cook taken out by his teammate. Cook into the outside wall as Kozlowski ran him over. It is Wachinski versus Johnson now for the race win as a big wreck in turn number 1. Huge moment for Corey Cook getting run over by his teammate. Wachinski into turn 3 though for the final time today, and now looking high, looking low. Chris Johnson coming him off. Pattengale is lap traffic up in front. The 48 car trying to go up to get around. Wachinski trying to follow suit, but Wachinski can't get there in time. And because of that move from Al Kozlowski, Wachinski did not have the draft, and Chris Johnson wins the ButtKicker 250.
Man, gotta feel some type of way there for Corey Cook. Man, I hate that for him. He ran so good all night.
And he's going to be finishing outside of the top 10 now because of that. I'm shocked. I mean, we expected it to get a bit tense between G&G teammates. I didn't expect to see that, though.
I did not expect to see some bumpers being thrown. I definitely did not expect that.
Talk about getting done down and dirty right on the last lap by your own teammate.
I'm sure they're going to definitely be having a conversation about that one.
You don't say. Well, everybody is starting to slowly trickle on into pit road and across the start-finish line. So we'll take a quick rundown of your official post-race results as Chris Johnson burns it down to the front straightaway. He wins from Wachinski, who without help from Kozlowski or Cook just didn't have the speed to get the run for the win. And that means it was going to be Greg Bartlett in 4th with Mark Patchen in 5th. Derek Jacobs was in 6th with Paul Olson in 7th. It's Josh Schaffner 8th. Randy Drumhiller and Mark Sanchez round out the top 10.
Don Avery going to be finishing in 11th place. 12th is going to be John Mullins, of course. 13th, unfortunately, Corey Cook. 14th, Matt Sani, I should say. 15th, Andrew Layton. 16th, Wayne Grossi. 17th, Kenny Powell. 18th, Robert Pattengale. 19th, Philippe Radijic. 20th, Matthew McMeekin. And 21st is Thomas O'Hare.
And with that, we're going to take a quick step away. But don't go away. We'll be back with the post-race show in just a few moments. Stay with us.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at TheButtKicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
I'm back. Where are we going? And what a great race that was. I mean, excellent showing there from a lot of drivers. Definitely some kind of questionable calls out there for some of the drivers out there. But we definitely excited to call that Chris Johnson was able to win that race. Of course, we have Al Kozlowski in the booth. Definitely glad to see you finish 3rd place here tonight. How are you feeling after that race? Do you feel some type of way a little bit by what happened?
Well, what happened? What do you think happened in that race right there?
Well, I'm not actually really sure. I mean, it looks like a little bit of a contact between you and Corey Cook.
Yeah, that was a dumb move. I had teammates, Greg and Chris, up there, and I thought we were going to do a little side-by-side, make it a little interesting, but instead I got hung out to dry, and I I thought Corey was going to go up behind him and go up a little bit, so I tried to stick my nose down there, and it wasn't it. So it was a bad call, but I hate to finish third like that, but had a dominating car. I just didn't have teammates.
Well, you definitely had a really good car here tonight. I mean, led a lot of laps out there and looked like, I mean, heck, if I was to bet money, I thought you would have won this race. I mean, definitely unfortunate how it all played out, but third place definitely going to be a good, start to, the Super Cup Series, don't you think?
Well, absolutely. Yeah, this car you have to have a teammate or somebody behind you that's going to push you along. Otherwise, you end up. I mean, I thought I lost the draft there. I just kept digging, and unfortunately, I thought Corey he went up high a little bit there, and I thought they were all going to stay in that middle, and I was just going to go down low and see if one of them may be generous enough to pull down and at least try to get a win out of this thing. But it didn't happen. I'm sorry I did that to Corey. That was a pretty crappy move, but miss call on my part.
Well, things like that happen. I mean, I'm sure you being teammates, you guys are going to have a discussion about it, and it's all going to be fine. But definitely able to park that G&G machine in third place. Got to be good, feeling good here after a finish like that. How are you feeling next week? I do believe, is it Auto Club that's on the schedule? I'm sorry if I'm mistaken if I'm wrong there. That just shows the preparation I put into this tonight.
I'm not positive where we're running at next week. I don't know. We'll evaluate that.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, it's Auto Club.
Yeah, I figured it was Auto Club. I do apologize about that, but glad to have that all ironed out. But Auto Club, how do you feel about a racetrack like that? I mean, a lot like Michigan, but kind of different. Is it going to be the short track variation? I don't think they've scanned it yet, so is it going to be that 2-mile variation?
Well, I think we're pretty good. We'll work on it all week with the teammates, and after we have a conversation here in a little bit, maybe we'll act like a team next week.
I heard that a little bit of some not very content there with how the team acted tonight, but that's all right, Mr. Kozlowski. We definitely appreciate you coming into the booth. Third place. Who can we shout out tonight after third place?
Oh, well, G&G. We've got a solid team, and SpeedwayAngels.com.
Short and sweet. Thank you, Mr. Al Kozlowski, for your time here tonight. And moving on to our second place finisher, Greg Wachinski. Got to be feeling pretty good, man. Winning 2 stages, stage 1 and stage 2, and now finishing second place here tonight. How are you feeling in that 5 machine?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, it's this is one of those tracks where, anything can happen. So I'm just kind of glad to just finish the race number 1. So glad Chris got the win. It was fun there at the end.
I mean, you always found your way up in the front pretty much all night long. I mean, you were definitely trying to size up Chris, though, at the end there, wouldn't you say?
Oh, I mean, yeah, definitely. I would, it's everybody for themselves for sure. There at the end, that's the way it goes. So, but it's nice to see him get a win. He's pushed me to wins at super speedways before, so I wasn't gonna do anything too crazy to try to get around him.
Yeah, definitely. Good teammate for sure. You guys all usually work very well together. Great job for you both tonight, and just for fantastic race here. I mean, glad to see that the package is was updated and we see such great racing. What would you think would be the best line out there tonight? Was it the top line or was it the bottom?
I mean, I like the top line. It's just a matter of how many cars you can get lined up. I mean, it's I expected it to be more, side by side, but it, just didn't work out that way.
Yeah, for sure. Especially after I'd say the green flag pit stops. I think the first 2 stages we saw a lot of side by side racing, and even before that green flag pit stop came up, we saw a lot of side by side racing. I mean, do you feel like the package has been fixed?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was good. I didn't have any problems with it. It's the best package that I think I've seen.
All right. Definitely was exciting from our standpoint. I mean, especially to see all the strategy calls and things like that. How are you feeling about Auto Club coming up next week, especially this being the second race in the Super Cup Series?
I mean, I like that track. It's a big, wide track. Hopefully there's multiple grooves that you can race it. I wouldn't want it to turn into just like one groove all day. So hopefully, it can be competitive. But it's a good track. Should be fun.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Auto Club always known to be one of those tracks you can get some 2-3 wide kind of racing and tire wear comes into play. That's one thing that you don't see a lot at Daytona. But we definitely appreciate your time, man. Who can we shout out tonight for your second place finish, Mr. Wachinski?
Of course, Rob Melnick, because he is the greatest. He makes it all happen. You guys up in the booth, G&G Racing, ButtKicker. That's about it.
Short and sweet on the call-outs here tonight. We definitely appreciate your time, Mr. Wachinski, and excellent work here tonight, grabbing those, 2 stage wins and a second place. I mean, you are looking so great momentum-wise when it comes to, the Super Cup Series, and look forward to talking to you next week.
Thank you very much. Take care, buddy.
Appreciate your time, and next we got our winner here tonight, able to get that push from Greg Wachinski and really fend off what could have been a different race here, Mr. Chris Johnson. I mean, you led a lot of laps here tonight. I wouldn't be surprised to see if you led the most laps. I mean, early in this race, you were very consistently up in, the top spot. How were you feeling here tonight?
Well, I came into it with low expectations. It actually went very well. It went better than I was expecting. First 2 stages, I didn't really have anyone besides, I hooked up with Corey a few times, but towards that last bit, I saw Greg and Corey get a run on the outside, and it wasn't a good bump by any means. It was more of a Greg having a little bit of mercy on me when I blocked him, so that was that.
Yeah, and I know we talked to you earlier tonight about, you said, oh, I don't have any friends out there, but apparently Greg Wachinski was looking out for you a little bit there.
Well, I know, me and Greg don't see eye to eye most times, but it's we put our differences aside, and we come to terms that it's not always best to get into fender benders with teammates. So I would like to thank him for having a little bit of mercy when I threw that nasty block. Towards the end there, I felt like that was the opportunity. I mean, if I would have let Greg and Corey go on the outside, it would have locked me into maybe 3rd or 4th. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm thankful Greg didn't turn me there, and happy about the result.
Yeah, able to win a race. I mean, speaking of winning a race, I mean, gotta be awesome for your momentum going into the Super Cup Series. I mean, first race of the season, you're able to win. I mean, you're looking real good.
I mean, it is a super speedway. Once we start getting on these more challenging tracks, everybody will start settling in. But I'm happy to start the season off this way.
Well, speaking of a little bit more of a challenging track, Auto Club coming up next week. I mean, have you put any preparation time into that?
Nope, I have not been on that track since 2 seasons ago, so I'm going in blind.
Well, definitely not trying to go in blind at. I mean, show up with the Michigan setup, you might have a bad day. Considering those are the sister, I mean, they from what I hear, Auto Club a lot more bumpier, than what you'd see at a track like Michigan. So definitely going to be a place you're going to probably have to put that work in. But knowing you, I mean, you're definitely a fast driver. Even you say this is a super speedway, we always usually see you up in the front, even at other tracks. So I think it's going to be some good days to come for Mr. Chris Johnson. Who can we shout out for you after this win here tonight?
Of course, my team, G&G, Southern Spiral. Of course, y'all up in the booth, ISCA, Rob, Kenny, you, Brian, and Nolan. And shout out to Tucson Sound Art. They sponsor our Saturday running. And Brian Johnson helps out with the setups a little bit. So that, and Chris, the other Chris. So thanks to all those guys.
Well, we definitely appreciate your time, man, and look forward to seeing what you can accomplish at Auto Club after this, great win here tonight. Definitely the first win of the season, and of course, a win that, goes for the Cup Series, too. Of course, we're going to have to see how that all plays out. But we definitely look forward to seeing you at Auto Club.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Well, that was Chris Johnson, tonight's race winner. Excellent win there. What a great race this was tonight. And excited to see what the future holds at Auto Club. But this has been ISCA here, the Cup Series, ButtKicker Cup Series. I should shout out our main sponsor, ButtKicker, of course. Definitely a great company to be sponsored and partnered with here tonight. And we appreciate everybody watching here tonight. And look forward to seeing what Auto Club has in store for us.